Good morning, Facebook family and friends. This is Sarah. Good morning. I'm going to start over because the screen is blinking. But good morning, Facebook family and friends. This is Sarah. Good morning with Dr. Mama Rosie Thompson. Today is September 28th, 2024. We're still on the topic of becoming our whole authentic self. I thought maybe we would be changing it next week. We shall see. But today we're going to talk about losing friends after authenticity. We're going to talk about introducing our authentic self and finding our authentic purpose. So those are the three things we're going to talk about today. The reason, always the reason because we've had conversations during the week and conversations as we study that leads to these questions, leads to these topics. So we're going to talk about losing friends because oftentimes when we change our lives, when we change our lives and we're not the same person that people knew before, we're trying to live in authenticity. We're trying to be who we really are. We find that the people who were in our life before, who are used to the old person, sometimes we lose friends. Anyway, again, this is Sarah. Good morning with Dr. Mama Rosie Thompson. First and foremost, I'd like to say thank you to all of you who will be joining me now as I go live. And I thank all of you who will watch this video later and those who will watch it via YouTube. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come be with us. I really, really appreciate you. So today is September 28th, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Last week, we talked about vicarious trauma. We talked about that, and we talked about how not everyone can deal with hearing our traumatic experiences. And some people suffer from vicarious trauma, and this can be caused by just being exposed to your trauma. So when we oftentimes need to share this stuff, that's why I always recommend therapists, because our friends don't have the answers a lot of times. They're trying to help, and sometimes it really can affect them. It's like I said, it's a weight that we carry, and then we're dropping that weight off on other people. Our friends who are trying to be there for us, trying to say what they think we need to hear, but they really don't know how to help us. And so, vicarious trauma can happen when we listen to people experience it. And then we talked about why people try to invalidate sometimes our experiences. So it's not always that people can't listen to our experiences. Sometimes people just try to invalidate it for whatever reason. We talked about sometimes they don't know any other way of relating to us. So we're coming to them and we're being real and we're being authentic and we're talking about our experiences. They don't know how to relate to us. They don't know how to have those conversations with us. Sometimes they can have low self-esteem and they need others, make themselves feel better when they try to make you feel worse. So sometimes that's why people invalidate our experiences. Sometimes people believe that their own experiences are the only valid ones. They're like, if you had an experience that's different from theirs, then you're overreacting to what you experience. You're overreacting to how you feel. You shouldn't feel that way. Why is it, that kind of stuff. And it could be sometimes in people's best interest to just deny the reality of things happening. Sometimes they just deny it because it serves them better if they do that. Another couple of reasons, sometimes it can be a strategy just to isolate you. Sometimes people want to isolate you. And sometimes they want to keep you in this relationship that they have with you the way that it is, so they try to invalidate your experiences. And they try to validate it. Because people people cannot sometimes engage, and people just not unable to look beyond their own point of view. Sometimes people are not able to look beyond their own point of view, just even to consider what we may feel, what we may think. So we give people credit. As the more we learn about this, the easier it is to look at people a different way. We don't look at them as if they coming against us. We don't look at them as if they don't care about what's happening to us. Something is in them as well. We think that sometimes, we talked at the very beginning when we started this, and I told you trauma is normal. Trauma is normal. So just because your traumatic experience was one thing, you don't know what that other person is going through. You don't know. And sometimes they don't realize what they're going through there, because it's easy to say that they just got into a fight. It wasn't no big deal. Everybody's okay. That's easy to say. But if that stuff overwhelms you, if it bothers you that much, it's traumatic. You got a right to whatever feeling that you have. So if we have these traumatic feelings, we're going through this traumatic, these things that we're going through. We don't want to be upset with other people because they don't want to hear it or because they can't hear. Sometimes people are not able to look beyond their own point of view to consider what other people think. So they're trying to fill in gaps with stuff that really not even what you're talking about, not even what you're trying to share, not even what you're going through. They're trying to fill in the gap with things like, it'll be okay. Nobody said it wouldn't be okay. This is what's happening to me. I didn't say it wouldn't be okay. I didn't say I wasn't going to come out okay in the end. And that kind of thing. So oftentimes we try to say things because we're trying to be helpful. We're trying to make everything okay, but that's not sometimes the best way to do it. Sometimes being quiet is the best way to help a friend. Sometimes being quiet is the best way to help a person. The best way, especially when you don't really know that person. And I don't mean when I say know that person, I don't mean that you know them because you spent so much time around them. That's not necessarily knowing a person. As we talked about in the past about having these fragmented parts of ourselves. Well, sometimes the only person you know is the person, the good part of themselves that they presented to you. So you're answering that when that's not really even them. That's why it's so important for me to be whole and to be authentic. I bring the good, the bad, the ugly. Show you exactly who I am. Then perhaps when you try and help me or try and say something to me, you can do it in a way that I can hear, in a way that I understand. Sometimes, the reason sometimes people invalidate our experience, it's a way of deflecting blame or even shame. Sometimes people invalidate your experience because they are afraid that you're going to see through their mask. So they want to just push it off someplace else because if they continue to talk about it, you'll hear the hurt and pain in their lives. The people who have hidden that pain and hurt and trying to act like they didn't go through nothing, everything is fine and they got over it. And sometimes if they haven't dealt with it, sometimes if it hasn't been dealt with, people will deflect the blame, try to deflect that shame because they're afraid that you're going to see through their mask. Any invalidation can be especially traumatic when it comes from someone in our life who's significant, someone who we rely on, someone we care about a lot, somebody we depend on. So, we talked about some of the effects of that invalidation. When we start to invalidate people, it creates a deep-rooted emotion, and it causes us to not be able to trust people, which can cause us to live in constant fear of being neglected or ignored. So we push people away. When someone has invalidated you long enough and it has affected you, you begin to push people away. You don't trust them because they're not hearing you. It's so important to hear each other. And I think that may be where we're going in the following weeks. It's so important to listen to people, to actively listen to people, to hear them when they are speaking. Not answer the question they're not even asking. Chronic invalidation can cause us to lose confidence in ourselves. And then we began to seek validation from other people. We talked about that last week too. When we have chronic invalidation in our lives, we began to lose confidence even in ourselves, and we began to look for validation from other people. And even sometimes we even find it wrong to feel it vulnerable. We create this, this stronger pseudo persona of what we want people to see. Even like when we are bullied as a kid can lead to self-esteem issues. It can lead to borderline disorder, personality disorder, and not being able to express ourselves openly to other people. But we we create this stronger person in ourselves that we want people to see. And sometimes in doing that, we lose the vulnerability of who we really are. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay. Everything about us is fearfully and wonderfully made. We don't have to make any other person for other people to validate. We don't. Sometimes, even when we've been invalidated, especially long enough, we become perfectionists. We've been told that we're not good enough, so it forces us to work harder just to get validation. We become too hard on ourselves as we strive for this perfection, as we strive for admiration, and as we strive for validation. And we began to downplay our accomplishments. Like we talked last week, people we name it. I don't want to walk in pride. I don't want to appear prideful. But we downplay what we've accomplished. We don't have to downplay what we've accomplished. Anything that we accomplished took work, and that says a lot about you. Tell yourself where you've gotten to today, what you've accomplished today. It was work. If you don't think it was work, look around at people who haven't done it and people who want to do it and still haven't done it. And stop doubting yourself. Know your core truth. If you know your core truth and who you are on the inside, you don't have to doubt. We don't have to doubt ourselves. And don't, as I said again, don't downplay the things that you've accomplished in life. We talked about that, and we also talked about the ways to heal. How do we heal? First of all, with everything we acknowledge and we recognize. The best way to deal with anything that affects us, accepting the invalidation will help you to understand what happened and how and to make you react the way that you want to. You understand what happened and what makes you rather react the way that you're reacting, and then you can do something about it. So one thing you can do is change your environment. Do whatever it takes. I said this and I'm going to say it again. Do whatever it takes to change any environment that will not allow you to heal. Any environment in your life, any place that you are, any home that you are, wherever you are, if it does not allow you to heal, you need to change your environment. Start to surround yourself with people who support you and naturally validate you. Not for being anything you've done, but just for the person that you are. Get into a place where you have authentic friendships with people who can accept you the way you are, not for who they want you to be. Get into that place. Find that environment. Find that community. And then validate yourself. Self-validation. Everything starts with us. You remember that. Start to accept and validate yourself. Remind yourself of your own worth, regardless of what other people think. We can't control other people, but we can control the way we feel about things and how we act on things. Refrain from giving people the power to emotionally invalidate you more than you validate yourself. And the last one on this one is always set healthy boundaries. We're going to make sure that we say healthy boundaries. Learn when to say no. Be comfortable with saying no. And when you say yes, do it with reservations and setting conditions around your yes. Don't just give people a broad yes, then you're upset when things didn't go the way you thought it should. When we give people boundaries, it increases our self-worth. At the same time, it allows them to see that you value yourself too. And as you begin to show more and more that you value yourself, other people will start to value you as well. So today, we're going to go back to our topic today. That was just a recap from from last week. So we're going to talk today about losing friends after becoming authentic. As I said, that person I used to be, the person that I wasn't that other person who I showed people I was. That person who was always like the yes person. That person who was always trying to get along with everybody. That person who, never expressed what I felt. Because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feeling. I didn't want people to be angry. That all stemmed from childhood. That all came from the traumatic life I experienced as a child. Losing friends is a normal part of growing up. And that's what becoming whole is. That's what becoming authentic is. It's growing up. Losing friends is a normal part of growing up and can be a sign of your own personal growth. For me, I know it is. It's important to be patient and kind with yourself. Be patient as you lose people. Remember that most of the time it won't matter in a few years. You'll be okay. You'll be okay that you lost them. Right now, it hurts when you lose somebody because that's not the goal. The goal is to be whole and to protect ourselves and to take care of ourselves, to self-care. We don't want to lose friends in the process, but as we just said, we have to get into find an environment where we can grow. And if it's hindering our growth, then losing that friend may be what we have to do. We have to decide what's more important. What's it worth? What's the opportunity cost? What am I giving up to be in this friendship? What am I giving up to be in this lifestyle? What am I giving up to go through the stuff that I'm going through? What am I giving up? My peace of mind? What am I giving up? And then you can decide if it's worth it. The only person can decide if this is worth it. Staying where you are or going to a place of healing. Only you. So, the one thing we have to do is change our expectations. Now, we have to change what we expect from people because, first of all, we're the one who has become whole. We're the one that's working on authenticity. Now our actions align with what we say. We weren't saying one thing and doing another. We're not no longer doing that. We're not saying okay when we really don't mean okay. We're not saying yes when we really don't mean yes. We're going and living this life now that's full of authenticity, and in doing so, we need to align our own actions with what we're doing, rather changing expectations of what we expect. You expect people to go along. You've been saying yes all this time. Now you change and you're not doing it, and you expect people to go along. No, they may not. They don't know this person. That's why it's important to be whole. That's why it's important to be real. When we come into relationships, we bring all of ourselves because that is so important. So we began to change expectations. We're more focused now on our own values, and we're not swayed by external pressures. Before somebody said something, that's what we did. They said, I talk about going on vacation a lot because there are two people that I can always go on vacation with. Always. This young lady named Linda and this young lady named Lolita. I can always go on vacation with them too. Because when I go on vacation, my vacation has to go like this. First of all, my vacation starts when I leave my house. Doesn't matter about the traveling time, that's still vacation for me. And I don't like flying. And I don't want anybody telling me, girl, you can get there in an hour. I know how long a plane takes. But this is what I do. So now I'm not swayed by somebody else telling me that I should get on a plane. You just tell me when we should be there. And I do it my way. That's it now. I'm not doing things that I don't want to do because somebody else need it done. And then when I get on vacation, I love, like Lady Linda, I love her because we get on vacation. I'm on my vacation. She's on her vacation. We're not on our vacation. So if I decide that I want to go eat and she doesn't want to go eat, that's fine. She's not saying, oh, come on, Rosie, let's go do this. Or come on, Rosie, we on vacation, girl. Come on. I don't like that. I don't like the pressure. The part of the pressure came from childhood pressure. I don't like pressure at all. Leave me alone and allow me. Like I said, I told you before that debates are not won by you screaming and arguing at me and you giving me all this information. You just tell me what's the better. You give me the better argument. Tell me why it's better if I do it this way. And then allow me to choose. So we need to change our expectation of what's going to happen when we become whole and authentic. What's going to happen with our friendships? And oftentimes, we need to realize that people are uncomfortable with change. So you may lose those who don't align with the new version of you. People don't like change. People, if people get comfortable in certain ways, and then when you come in with something different, that makes people uncomfortable. And a lot of times, depending on the trauma, depending on what's happening in their life, they start to think, did I do something? Why are they acting funny? And it's not acting funny. And I'm glad we do this on this platform where we got a lot of our friends are hearing it and knowing that this is what's happening in your life. And if they're not on the platform like something like this and you're saying it, you need to talk to them. You need to let them know, I've made some changes in my life. I haven't always been open. I haven't always been real. I haven't always said what I felt. I was trying to get along. I was trying to be a friend, but I found that I did it in a way that has really hurt me. So there will be some changes in my life, and I'm asking you to be patient with me. I'm asking you to try to understand. And that conversation is going to let you know whether they do or not. Sometimes people, they just miss things when it's important to you. Then there's another thing that people of fear of judgment. Why you experience fear of judgment? Why you experience these fears of judgment, of criticism, and lose a connection with people. It's important to understand that those judging you also have the fear of losing connection. So you're kind of, as we become holy and authentic, and we're losing friends and stuff, they also have a fear of losing us. Because that's not the Rosie I knew. You're not, now that she's coming to me differently, so I'm losing the friend I knew. This is a whole different person. But we're concerned because we're losing them because now we're self-caring for ourselves. It is just expressed differently. That's all it is. When they have not experienced you standing in your truth, they are met with the unfamiliar. When your friends have not experienced you standing in your truth, they are now met with the unfamiliar, with shifts outside of their paradigm. They fear losing connection with you because they do not know how to relate to the new you. They were really comfortable just saying and doing anything, telling jokes that were, offensive, but you never said they were offensive. So they were really comfortable doing it. Now you find it offensive. They don't know how to connect with you. They don't know how to communicate with you. They don't know how to relate to you. So you both fear. You both have a fear, and it's different. It's just expressed in contrasting ways. That's all. The irony of it is that your shared fears of being different makes you the same. Cause we're still the same. I'm going through this thing of fear where I fear losing you. You're going through the fear of losing me. So it really makes us the same. We want to make sure that we have conversation. We want to make sure that we're saying it, and that's why it's so important that as we change and as we put something in our life that we explain it. Be patient with people. Be patient with those people that don't know you this way. They've never seen you act this way. They never seen you do the things that you're doing. So be patient with them. By understanding that fear is coming when leaning into your authentic self, you can recognize it quickly and before it takes over. So now you see this. I see that they don't call as much as they used. Let me call them. Let them talk to them. Talk to people. It's so important to have communication. It is so important to talk to people. So, and what do you do when it comes to fear? First of all, you detach. That fear is not you. That fear of losing somebody is not you. It's an emotion. Remember, our emotions are not us, but they belong to us. So we detach. That's one thing we do. And then we dissociate. We become the observer. Look at the thoughts, the emotions, and the behaviors that come up when this fear arises. Because it brings with it emotion. It brings with it behavior. It brings with it thought. Look at those things. And then disempower. Remember that fear is false evidence that's appearing as real. It's not your truth. Ask yourself in a moment, who am I being when I'm surrendering to this fear of losing somebody? Who am I being? Is this my truth? You got to also know if it's worth it. There are going to be lifestyle differences. And learning about ourselves help us to understand others. That is such a true statement. Learning about ourselves helps us to understand others. I was with a couple of my babies, some of my babies yesterday, and we were talking about, people doing things and some things that people would say, and that came up a little bit in our conversation. Because people, when they come at you and you say, why are you being rude? Why are you acting different with them? It's not always what it seems. It helps me now to understand that they have some traumatic experiences. They have some things in their lives that they need to work on. They have some things in their life that they're perhaps not even seeing. So because I see it that way, it's almost like, I guess I can say trauma is a disability. So it's this, how do you handle if you don't face the fact that you even have a disability? I'm over here trying to make pecan brittle and not realizing that my arm is broken. So I'm still trying to make pecan brittle. I'm still trying to bake. That's what it is. So a lot of times it helps us to understand other people as we better understand ourselves. And instead of trying to change others to fit our needs, we just set boundaries. That's it. We're not trying to make you do anything you're not comfortable doing. We're setting these boundaries to protect ourselves. We have decided and we know this is what I can have in my life. This is what I cannot have in my life. I went to see my grandbaby. And I remember the time, and I probably surprised my son because I remember the time, everything they did, I was all in the business. I had something to say, tell the kids that this kid's did. This time I went to see my babies, and I really only went to see my grandbabies. I didn't try to raise them. I just went to see the grandbabies. And I know my son was so surprised that I wasn't over there doing everything because I'm a fix-it person. If there's an issue and I want to fix it. But this time, and I was able to sit down and do a puzzle. We did the Halloween decorations in the yard. We went out to breakfast, went out to dinner. I was able to enjoy them, just enjoy their company because I went there and I understood my purpose for being there, and I understood now that I'm understanding them better. These are his kids. That's my grandchildren are my children's kids. I don't have to raise my children's kids. I can say something to try to help them. If the time is right, that's what we're gonna continue as we continue to go forward. We're gonna talk about that. How do we help people? Because we want to help people as we become whole and authentic, as we begin to see our lives changes, as we begin to see great things happening in ourselves. We want to show this to somebody else, but we have to know how to do that. We don't fix people. That's not who are we to fix somebody. We don't fix them. And then if we did try to fix them, what should they look like after we get through fixing it? Should they look like us? Is that the fix that I have? How do we allow them to help them to be the best person that they are? Be your best person, not who I think you should be. Be your best person. That's what we want to do. So their lifestyle difference, and it helps us to learn about ourselves, helps us to understand them. Now, we understand that we're going to lose people in this journey. We don't want to lose people in this journey. We understand most of the time it's because of fear. The relationship has changed. Now we're seeing ourselves differently, so we're presenting ourselves differently. So we may need to start to learn how to introduce our authentic self. In the past, when we introduce people, we introduce our best self. That's how we introduce people to who we are. We introduce our best self. But we need to learn how to introduce our authentic self. And there is a difference. There are a couple of comments. I'm just going to look to the left and see what they are, if it's something that I need to share. And I want to thank you all for coming on. This is first my auntie and pastor. Transparency is key. Okay, and I see you, Mr. Mason. Thank you for coming on too. Really appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Transparency definitely is key. We have to be honest. We have to be real. We need to be transparent. We need to talk. We got to open ourselves up. That's what we talk about when we talk about being whole and authentic. It's the transparency. We bring back the good, the bad, the ugly. So when we introduce our authentic self for new relationships and even those past relationships, we have to we stop introducing people to our best self, and we introduce them to our authentic self. Now, your best self is the version of you that showed up confident and self-assured by leading with your strength and setting yourself up for success in whatever you were trying to accomplish. When you walked into this place and you introduce yourself, this is the version of you that showed up confident, self-assured, leading with your strength and setting yourself up for success in whatever you were trying to accomplish. I was coming to you because I want to date you. I brought my best self to you, and I came to you with my strength, what all I can bring and what all I got and what all I do, whatever that is. The whole self involves fully showing up as you are in your most vulnerable and true state, allowing yourself to be fully seen as you are. That's when you introduce your whole self. But we're talking about our authentic self. Your authentic self is what comes naturally to you. Being the self that takes no effort. This has been capitalized as feeling connected to the real you. So when we come and introduce our authentic self, we're introducing that person who we are without effort. This is just me. People say, that's just me. I'm just being me. It takes no effort when we are authentic. So how do we introduce ourselves? When we introduce ourselves, we want to do it with purpose. It becomes more than, think about this. When we used to be at work in different places, and people say, introduce yourself. So we gave our name, we gave our job, education, maybe some certifications. We may have thrown in a hobby. But think about that. Our name, our job, our education, our certification, and our hobby. But if you removed your name from that introduction, you could be anybody. So you don't stand out. You're not who everybody else is. If you introduce yourself by what your name, your job, education, certification, your hobby, and you remove your name from that introduction, you could become anybody. Your experience and achievement is not who you are. What you do, your experiences, and your achievements is not who you are. You are so much more. We are so much more. And when we introduce our authentic self, know that people are more compelled by your story than they are about your facts. Your facts do not tell if you're a person of value. The facts about you do not tell people if you can be trusted. Those facts are just facts. When a person is seeking to know you or to have a relationship with you, they're not seeking facts. And oftentimes we do not help them by telling them the facts. The only time your facts going to matter is when you're applying for a job. They want to know your education. They want to know what you've done in the past. But when we're looking for relationships and we're trying to get into relationships with people, we have to introduce our authentic self. That's what. Okay. So tell your story when you introduce yourself. I like, I quoted this before. I like that quote by James Baldwin. But he said, for while the tale of how we suffer and how we are delighted and how we may triumph is never new. But it always must be heard. The tale of how you suffer, your delights and your triumph, it's not new. Somebody else went through the same thing, but your story always must be heard. For one reason, he said that there isn't any other tale to tell. What else can you tell? It's the only light we have in all of this darkness. Your true authentic self is the only light you have in this darkness. So instead of starting with a list of facts about yourself, briefly but vividly describe how you got to be in front of that person that you're in, why you're there. Think about how you got to be in front of that person and why you're there. What's the purpose for being in front of this person that you're introducing yourself? You might describe how you came to do what you do, or how you came to care about what you care about. But when you do this, you're activating empathy, and this helps the person to see themselves in your story, in your life. So that's the plan when we meet people and when we introduce ourselves. We want them. It's for a reason. Hopefully that we can be in their lives, that they can get in our lives. So when we describe how we came to do what we do, or how we care about what we care about, what we're doing, we're activating empathy. And this helps that person to see themselves in our story, in our lives. Tell people what you believe in. Your contributions is your value. You're contributing. I'm telling you, your contribution is your value. Tell people about what you do is telling them about the solutions you offer. Telling people about what you do is telling them about the solutions you offer. Before doing this, try to compare them by the problem you solve. So we want to introduce ourselves. We don't want to start with these facts about ourselves. We want to give them that personal part of us. We want to really be whole and authentic in our introductions. Hi, Nikita. Thank you for joining. Happy anniversary. Thank you so much. Happy anniversary to you and your husband. But we want to really be authentic. We really want to introduce ourselves by not a list of facts about us. That stuff. And sometimes people be like, I'm not even impressed. Tell me about you. What do you like? What not? If we started off introducing ourselves authentically, there would be a lot less problems in our lives. But we start off by telling people, because you can talk to friends and they start telling you they meet a new guy, and the only thing they can tell you about what he got and what he does. But that's not who he is. What he got and what he does, he may have it after he leave you. He may still have what he got and but what he may be still doing, he may still have it. But what is it about him? What does he care about? What things have what do he do? Not in his work, but what is his life about? What accomplishment has he done? What is he sensitive about? I met these people. I told you I met the people at the lake house, and the guy who owned the lake house. When I went there, he talked about his wife. There was so much love in him about his wife. And I'm sitting there, wow. And I learned a lot just sitting there listening to him talk about his wife and his children and his grandchildren. He's a family man. He loved his family. Just sitting there, hearing that. He did not talk to me about his job at all. He didn't list off, I don't even know how long he's been at the job. I know where he worked because I've been to the job. But I don't know anything else about the job. What I heard from them, and that's the relationships that I thank God for, the relationships that I want to build with people who accept me just for me, and I can accept them just for them. I don't have to know how much money you make. I don't have to know. This stuff is not important. What's important is you, that whole authentic you. And we need to get past that so that we can have these relationships that are more meaningful. So tell the story. Tell your story. Let them know who you are. This is what I care about. If people knew at the beginning of a relationship the things that were important to you, you wouldn't have wasted your time and they wouldn't have wasted theirs. They would not have wasted their time. But we introduced the good person, the person that we want people to see. Introduce the real you. Tell people, I believe in this. I believe in justice. And then now, you go out and say you believe in something and somebody else is totally against it, it comes up right away. It comes up right away. Okay. So then, after we introduce ourselves, it's important we want to introduce ourselves in authenticity. And we also, it came up again that somebody asked me about purpose. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this, about finding your purpose. Because not only we want to find our authentic purpose. What am I really meant to do? Not what I'm capable of doing. I remember one time at work, a manager said to me, I didn't want the position that I was in anymore, and I said, this position is not a good fit for me. And the manager said, oh, you're a good fit for this job. You're doing a great job. That's not what I said. I can do whatever I need to do. You can do so many things that's not a good fit for you. I didn't say that the job wasn't a good fit for me. I mean, I wasn't a good fit for this. I'm a good fit for whatever I choose in my mind to do. So are you. With hard work, we can do anything. What I said is this job is not a good fit for me. And it wasn't a good fit for me. The way that it was not a good fit for me. Of course I can accomplish it, but it wasn't a good fit for me. So when we start to look at our lives and work and becoming whole and authentic, we will find those things that are good fits for us. Not where we got to go be a good fit for it. Forget about it. It's about us. So once we began to talk about how do we find our authentic purpose, we do the reflective, we do the meditative and the thoughtful work. First of all, we have to think about it. We don't just do it. We don't just say, well, this is what I want to do. No, we have to really meditate and do the thoughtful work. To be able to introduce ourselves is going to take intentional self-reflection and even self-compassion. Even when we get ready to introduce yourself, it's going to take that. Knowing what we do, knowing why we do what we do, what we think can be better about the world, and what we're good at takes a certain amount of being comfortable with ourselves. I want to say that back when I was talking about introducing ourselves, and let me put that back in the introduction part. When we get ready to introduce ourselves, we want to do the thoughtful work. We want to do the meditative work. We want to do the reflective work. Oftentimes we do things without the work. We want to work. We're working for. Our authenticity is worth the work. To be able to introduce ourselves, it's going to take some intentional self-reflection and some intentional self-compassion. We have to know who we are. This is what I like. You remember we wrote our core truths about ourselves so we don't second-guess ourselves? You come up and say what people can come up and say what they want, but I know that I'm a good person. I know that I love people. I know that I'm honest. I know that. So I don't have to second guess. I hope she don't think I lied. She can think whatever she want to think. I know that I'm honest. I'm open, very open and honest. Some of you know that by being on here. I'm very open and very honest. That's because the wounds in my life, those wounds that really affected me, the ones that were bothering me the most, I allowed them to heal. I brought them out. I stopped putting them under that Band-Aid. I stopped hiding them, and I allowed them to come out in the open, in the air, and where they could get well. And now a lot of that stuff, it doesn't affect me anymore. I still go through some things as I continue to learn, as I continue to grow. I run into new things, but those things from that, I'm not mad about that stuff that happened in Mississippi anymore. I look at it now, I'm like, wow, I thank God for where I am today, and that all could have been a part of how I became who I am. And I'm happy about who I am today. So I want to say, as you introduce yourself, knowing why we do what we do. I know we talked about that, our mission, our purpose. Why do you get up every Saturday morning and go live and talk about this? There are two things. I get up every Friday morning and I talk about the Bible. And the reason I do that is on my heart to do, but one of the reasons, the purpose for it behind it, I want to tell people who God is. I see too much for me of the messages and the teaching being about everybody going through this. I don't know where that come from, and the more we hear that stuff, the more that stuff gonna get in our heart and our mind, and we gonna think we messed up. But I hear too much of that for me personally. That when you're going through this, but you're coming out. I've been at this church 30 years. I'm still coming out. When am I gonna come out? How about I'm already out? How about when Jesus said it's finished, it was really finished? How about he came that I could have life and have that more abundantly? How about what he said? That's why I go on Friday night. And I try not to put Rosie in it at all. I just want people to hear about the God that I serve and the God that I know. That's why I do Friday morning. Why do you come on here on Saturday morning? You know, I used to watch Batman, because that was my show. I couldn't stand Robin, and I watched it just because I couldn't stand Robin. But I watched Batman on Saturday morning. So why did you turn off the television on Saturday morning and come and do this? I do this because now I have learned so much about myself. I know how important it is to be whole and authentic. I know the freedom in authenticity, and I want to share that with somebody else who do not know. I want to share with somebody else who has gone through the traumatic experiences, maybe not the same ones that I went through, but have gone and dealt with traumatic experiences, to know that you are so worthy. I don't care what that trauma said to you. You are so mighty. You are so worthy. There is nothing you can do. And it's not too late to bring your life to the place where you want it to be. There's not too late to bring back those fragmented parts of ourselves that we hid during that trauma, so that we could deal with the trauma. We hide part of ourselves so we can deal with the trauma. But now we can bring back the good, the bad, the ugly, and we can be whole and authentic. And in doing so, we're not going to be alone. You're meeting new people all the time, because there are a lot of people that's whole and authentic. We had this wall between us and them when we were not whole and authentic. So when we introduce ourselves, we have to do that thoughtful work. We got to know why we do what we do. You know, what we think can be better in the world. What I think can be better, I think one thing that can be better is if there were more people that stood up when things were right. I look, if we put a post on, when I say that, when we put a post on Facebook about some dumb stuff, when we put a post on Facebook about Diddy, and it got so many reviews and it's coming up so much. But when we got this young man over here who just became a doctor, he's the first one in his family who went to college, but you don't get any no likes, and how we love this stuff. We got too much of this stuff that's in our life that does not benefit anybody. Does not benefit anybody. One person was talking to me, and back to this, and I'm not going to talk about Diddy, but one person was talking to me, and they were glad that, you know, what happened to him happened. And I said, well, how would you like if it was you? Would you be glad what happened happened? You know, I don't tell anybody what to do, but I want the same thing for everybody else as I would want if my child did something. That's why I was sharing with you before about my daughter-in-law. I have to pray for my daughter-in-law, and I have to love her. Because if my daughter did something and did what she did, I wouldn't want my baby to be in an electric chair. So how can I say be real in who I am and hope that for somebody else? No, I don't. But what do we think can be better about the world? When we talk about this reflective thought, we introduce ourselves. And what we're good at, in order to know what you're really good at, that's going to take a certain amount of comfort in ourselves. We have to be comfortable in ourselves to know, what am I really good at? Not what other people thought I was good at, not what other people saw me do, but what am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? I enjoy doing this. I enjoy studying. I enjoy doing the research. I enjoy looking for it. I enjoy sharing it. And every time I share, it comes up with different ways that I can share. It comes up with different things I can do to share with other people. Now we're going to go back to passion. So, our purpose. Define your purpose. We think of your passions, your talents, and your contributions. You know me. I suggest you write them down. As you think of your purpose, think of your passions, think of your talents, and think of your contributions. Because that's what we talk about when we introduce ourselves. So what do you love doing? You know, that's your passion. What do you love doing? And I like this quote from Frederick Buechner. He said, "Purpose is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet." So you're most happy in this place, and there's a real need in the world for this place. That's where he said, that's what purpose, that's where they meet. That then you find your purpose. So your passion, what do you love doing? Think about your passion. And then your talent, everything about you is important. Everything about you is good. Your talents, what are you good at? And I have another quote for you from Pablo Picasso. I like this one too. So what are you good at? And Picasso said, the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. The meaning of life is to find your gift. What is it that you're good at? And your purpose is to give that away. I love researching. I love studying. That's what I'm good at. I love baking, and I give it away. Give it away. That's how you find and then you find your contributions. What do you see in your community or in the world that could be better? What could be better? Not to talk so much about what everybody else doing, but what do you see that could be better? Where do you see I can help out with this? I can do something. I can do this. It can be the little things. I ordered. I got some little boxes. I got some bigger boxes because I'm going to send my family. I don't get to see my family as much as I would love to see my family. And I said, well, I want to touch them, but I don't get to see them. So one of the things in the community and in the family that I think can be better is if we were more in contact with each other. If we just sent a message, if we just said hello, if we sent a text message, just for families to be together, that's important to me. So I would like to see that more in our community. I would like to see that more in our world, where we as people come together a little bit more. So I ordered these boxes. And I got like 8 pounds of shelled pecans in there. And I'm going to make pecan brittles. And I'm going to make the school cafeteria butter cookies. And I'm going to start sending them out to my brothers, my sisters, and my nieces, and my cousins. I'm going to start sending them these little care boxes. When I don't get to go to see them, I'm going to send them something that says hello to them. Maybe with a note inside, I don't know. But I've already got the boxes. I'm going to start baking today and start sending those out to my family members. That's what I see could be better in our community, where families came together, not just as funerals, but where we spend time with each other and do little things to show we love. We don't have to spend a lot of money. We don't have to. We always think that, well, I'm going to do something when I can do something big. It doesn't have to be anything big, but just something to show that I'm thinking of you. So that's one thing that we're going to do. And so your contribution, Muhammad Ali said, excuse me, Muhammad Ali said, that service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. I like that. He says serving other people, service to other people is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. We're here to be a blessing. That's my point of view. To be a blessing to somebody else. We're here to help somebody else. We're here like when Mama Dorothy, remember when we started Matters in the Heart. And we raised money and sold dinners, and we would open savings accounts for kids. And I kind of took that a little bit from Bishop Simon Gordon at Tristone, when he was saying that he was telling a story one day about how he tried to do things that have never been done before. And now I do that. I kind of stole that from Bishop Gordon. So I try to do something that has never been done before in people's lives. Little things, but things that have never been done before. Things that, will make an impact. Things that will help them remember. Things that will make them smile. Try to do something. What do you see? Serve somebody else. Think about it's not as long as my hands are closed, whatever is in my hand will stay inside, but nothing else will get inside. So a lot of times things are not happening in our lives because what the little things that we got inside our hand, we're holding them so close that nothing else can come inside. I told you, and I went back to this. I told you, and I want to say it one more time. Our finance, everything, in my opinion, everything that we need, God has already met it. God has already done, not just by my opinion, but this is the word. But I'm not here to talk about God on this one. I just want to say that everything that we need, it's there. It's there. We oftentimes, the God is never a problem with what he's going to do. The problem is when we don't change ourselves. When we can't be real, when we can't be whole, when we can't be who we were created to be. And we understand that becoming whole and authentic, people, is not easy. It's not that, well, you just got to do it. People always telling you, well, all you got to do, that may be good for them. But it wasn't easy for me. It's not easy all the time for me. Because even the emotions of losing a friend is not easy. That's not easy. Making that hard decision is not easy. But knowing that this is the best decision for me, that's what makes us do it. Not because we're so good at, at throwing people away, or we're so good at being whole and authentic. No. Because especially when you get to be older, the older you are, and the longer you have shown people this, the person that you want them to see. And now you come into a point in your life where you're trying to be real, real and whole and authentic. It comes off like, well, I no longer have a filter. That we said that too. I don't have a filter anymore. I don't have a filter. No, now you're telling the truth. That's what's happening. It's not that you don't have a filter anymore. Now you're telling the truth. If you think you don't have a filter, get in front of that person that you respect and you would have a filter. You would have a filter. So now you're becoming real. You're becoming whole. You're becoming authentic. So now you're saying what you really want to say. We want to be mindful of that because we want to say what we really need to say. We want to do what we really need to do, but we want to do it in the right way. We want to do it with compassion. We want to do it with love. And if those people choose to leave our lives, they have a right to do that. If they choose not to work with us and not to be patient with us, they have a right to do that. So now we go back and we're gonna find out who it is, who we are supposed to be, what it is that we want to do. So when you start to do your purpose, as I said, you're thinking about those things that what you like doing, what you love doing, what you're good at, and what needs to be done in the community. And you know me, I always write things down. But when you find something, even if you don't write it down, when you find something that repeats itself in any of these topics, passion, talent, and contribution, I like to make up a name for it, such as helping others. Look for every time that appears, helping others. So, example, let's say my passion was helping friends and brainstorming. And my talent is giving advice and analyzing numbers. Now, I don't know about giving advice. I share information, but I don't know. But talent, anyway, let's say it's giving advice and analyzing numbers. And then we say that our contribution is the environment of homelessness. Now you look for the purpose theme. When you're talking about your purpose, look for those things, your passion, your talents, and your contribution. And look for a theme. I love to, whatever. I'm good at this. I want to help to this. So you need to be able to say, I love this. I'm good at something, and I want to help in some way. The intersection of these three themes is your authentic purpose. This is where you will find your authentic purpose. When you look and can find out what you love, what you're good at, and where you want to help, the intersection of these three themes is where your authentic purpose lies. This is how you will find it. Okay. I want to say thank you for all of you who've joined today, those who were paying online with us this morning. I really appreciate you. I thank you for taking the time out of your day. We will be posting this on YouTube after we finish here. I always said Facebook, got to think about YouTube. And I really appreciate you taking the time out to come and be with us today. So as we continue to work, we're going to be whole, and I think that we are. We're going to do the things that we're meant to do. We're going to be the person that we were meant to be. We're going to walk in authenticity. We are whole. We are authentic. And sometimes, yes, we may lose friends after we become authentic, because sometimes, like we said, we know why. We understand why. We understand it is fear. Hold those conversations. Let them know it's not you. I'm not trying to do anything to you, but I need this. And I didn't say it at first. Admit it. I wasn't real with you at first. I didn't like it before, and I didn't say anything because I didn't want you to feel bad about it. But now I have to say this because this is really how it is. And if you let things grow, everything that grows get bigger. If you let it grow inside of you, it'll get bigger. If you let it grow and don't say nothing, it'll get bigger. And then after we do that, we know that we're going to lose friends, but we're also going to get new friends, people who will accept us just the way we are, for who we are, without trying to change us. And then we're going to learn to introduce our authentic self by telling our story, not just about what I've done and not just about, but who we really are. We're going to introduce ourselves so that people know, do I want a relationship? Do I want to be a part of this person's life? We introduce ourselves. And then as we do that, we are going to find our authentic purpose. What am I to do? Why am I here? What is my reason for being here? What is it that I was made to do? And we're going to walk in that. We're going to walk in that. If there are no other comments, I want to thank you all for joining. Today, our affirmations for today, excuse me, this cold should be getting better. Once I got COVID a while back, and I still get this, but they keep changing medication. So the newer medication, I think it's going to work better. Hopefully it does. But anyway, our affirmations for today is that we honor ourselves by being authentic. We do. We are introducing our authentic selves to others. That's what we're doing now. We're reintroducing ourselves to people that know us, who know us rather, and we're introducing ourselves to people who do not know us. But now we're doing it in a different way. We're doing it by showing them the real who we are, and we are transforming all negative patterns in our lives. We are actually and exactly what and who we claim to be. We are worthy and we are whole, and we will always be a safe place for ourselves. I really, really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and be on here with us. Thank you so much. I will be posting this I'm going to post this now on YouTube. And thank you so much for joining us. You all have a great day. Thank you and God bless you. Goodbye.